Hello everybody, welcome to the Redmen TV. My name is Dan Clubb. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Eddie Hincks from the Owen McVeigh Foundation for a quick chat about our support for our charity of the month, the Owen McVeigh Foundation. First off, Eddie, how are you? Okay?
I'm good, Dan, thank you. Yeah, busy. Never known a time like it, really. I think in all my time, this is the fastest growing legacy charity I've ever known. It's just exploded.
It certainly has, and in the best possible way. We've been chatting the past 15 minutes upstairs and what have you. It really is remarkable what's happened with the foundation. Yeah,
we say, Dan, and I've done for a long time, we can't stop these kids being diagnosed with cancer. We can just help along the way. And I think certainly the foundation works way above its aims and objectives, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been fortunate enough to be, in the room with like Mark, and obviously we had Tash in recently as well. Yeah. People may have watched that before she did the marathon to raise funds for the foundation and what have you. So yeah, I'm aware of some of what goes on. Nowhere near as much as it does go on from our conversation upstairs.
I think you'd need 6 episodes to list what goes on.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. But for people that aren't so aware of why exactly the foundation was set up, if you don't mind explaining.
No. Sadly, Owen passed away. Coming up for 10 years now. I was working on the Children's Cancer Ward at the time and met with Mark not long after Owen passed away. He rang me, and I wouldn't normally have answered because the name didn't come up on the screen, but I'm glad I did. And he said, can we meet? This is who I am, and I need some help in setting up this foundation. And from day one, he said, and we've carried it through, this is in Owen's name and nothing must ever go wrong. Everything must be done by the book. So he had this idea, him and Joe, that they wanted some good to come out of this tragedy. And they set the charity up down with the most simplest of mission statements, simply to provide life memories for kids suffering with cancer, which just leaves it wide open then. There's no sort of tags on that. If a child likes this, if a child likes that, it's all in your constitution. You're not breaking any, charitable laws just to provide life memories for children with cancer. So it's as I said earlier, it's exploded. It started off quite small. I was working on the ward, and Mark didn't have a lot of patients on the books then. So he'd be ringing me on the ward and saying, I've got 4 tickets to a Liverpool game. Can you want to pick 4 kids? Wow, I had the best job in the world, literally going up to a child's bedside and saying, how would you fancy watching Liverpool against Arsenal next week? Or even better, how would you like to be a mascot? These are things that money can't buy. I suppose in some of the southern clubs, if your dad's got £2,500 of spare, you can pay to be a mascot. You can't up here. Yeah. You have to be as well connected as we are. So it literally just exploded from there.
No, absolutely. We spoke upstairs about some of the support. You've alluded to some of the things that you get to do and you get to offer these children just there. But like the supporters this foundation, this charity has are like no other, really, aren't you? You are, in many senses, quite fortunate to get the help that you do.
Of course. And I think Mark says from day one, the charity would have survived and would have grown, but not at the rate that it has without the LFC club and, more importantly, the LFC Foundation. They're just incredible, and they are the gift that keeps on giving. As I say, Dan, there's nothing better than, I've retired now, so I don't go up to the bedside anymore, but to be able, or Mark or I will ring a family and say, seats in an executive box, especially for our kids who are still on chemo, that they're not particularly well, that, they feel the cold. So to be able to, just come out for the game, go back in the warm if they want to and still look through the glass, they're the things that money can't buy. And they're not that you can get the tickets for love nor money anyway, but the cost of them, it's just, with our families, it's just not on the radar. Some of them have lost income, etc. They are the club that just keeps on giving.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Really. Like I say, I've seen some of the things that you've been able to do, and some of the life-changing, life-altering experiences you've been able to give these kids. Yeah, really, really, really special. Some of the partners as well.
Some of the partners are just unbelievable. Obviously, the LFC Foundation are right up there at the top. Virgil is a massive supporter of the organisation, and I think Mark and Joe are obviously so well thought of, because we were at the recent launch of the next 5 years of the LFC Foundation, going forward, and I think there was a slide on the screen that Matt showed, Matt Parrish, that they'd helped 1,852 organisations last year. Mark and Joe were chosen to walk the cup out, you know, and he kept saying, why us, why us? And I was saying, why not you? Why not you? They know what good the foundation is doing, you know. So the LFC Foundation are right up there at the top. Obviously, ex-players, you know, Sammy and Aldo and people like John Barnes are so good to us as well. And then coming down from there, the other things that kids like to do, we're business partners with the M&S Arena now. So we get, again, an executive box. So some of the kids are immune suppressed. So with the chemotherapy, so they can't sit downstairs with 7,500 people, but they can sit in a luxury box away from all the crowds. They're not going to pick up any germs or whatever. So we're treated like royalty when we go to the M&S Arena. And again, that is something again that is not on people's money's radar, Dan, you know. So we work an awful lot with them, and it started off with just family shows, things like Disney on Ice and the monster trucks and whatever. And then Mark came up with this idea that let's do mum and dad nights. Let's let them be mum and dad, Mr. and Mrs. for a night, rather than just a pair of parents of a child with cancer, to get out on it. And some of them come back and they say, I had a great night last night. It was like a date night. And of course, they haven't thought of that for years, you know. So the same with the M&S Arena, the Empire. I can't believe I got to 69 years of age and didn't know that there are exclusive lounges underneath the stalls. So Mark did his magic again with the Empire. So they go prior to the show and during the interval to this exclusive box downstairs with their own cloakroom and whatever. No queuing up for drinks. You know, they'll go in beforehand. They'll have some snacks and whatever. And the hostess will ask them, what drinks do you want lined up for when you come back in the interval? It's just pure luxury, you know. And we both use the same phrase, Mark and I, all the time, that dangling a carrot in front of a child, giving them something to look forward to. A friend of mine was a Macmillan nurse who retired not long before me, and she says she'd go to kids' homes to do chemo, and they would say to her, Michelle, will I be better in 3 weeks because I'm going out with the Owen McVeigh Foundation? And far cleverer people than me, Dan, must know that's making a difference in a child's head. If there's something to look forward to, just dangling this carrot, you know. So there's been all them, the jockey club, you know, again, I didn't think at first kids would like to go, but again, it's a special experience because they're taken into the paddock or sometimes into the weighing room. Recently at Haydock Park, William Buick, one of the top jockeys, had photos with all the kids and gave every single one of them a pair of racing goggles. So we've got a lovely photo of these kids sitting on the steps of the weighing room with William Buick, with all these big racing glasses. Again, the things you can't buy, Dan. You know, the connections that the foundation have made over the years, they're priceless, absolutely priceless.
No, absolutely, yeah. And it sounds like you are, again, offering those really, really special, unique experiences, not just for the children, but also the parents, as you mentioned, because we spoke upstairs about the knock-on impacts that you don't really think about. You just see the sadness and obviously the tragedy and the heartbreaking situations, but you don't think about it because parents having to give up jobs and parents not being able to live their own life in many ways, you know.
Yeah, I think everything goes on hold, and you know, for children diagnosed with childhood leukemia, it can be up to 2.5 years treatment. The first 6 months are brutal, where there's a lot of inpatient stays, and then, you know, a lot of blood transfusions and visits to the operating theatre or whatever. You know, there's a lot of employers who just can't carry that at all. You know, so. They're suffering. They're worried about their own child's health. They're worrying about can they pay the mortgage next month. You know, I think as a country we're a little bit behind in terms of looking after parents with long-term illnesses. You know, I think the Scandinavians have got it spot on, and one day we'll follow. But that's too political for this. But no, the knock-on effect from all these day trips and days out, Dennis, and it wasn't something we envisaged at first, but all these parents have now become great friends. You know, they understand each other. They don't have to explain to each other. In your street, if your child's diagnosed with childhood cancer, he or she is going to be the only one in that street. He or she may be the only one in that school at that time, you know, but when they come together, they're not when they come with us. So yours isn't the only one with no hair or the only one with the nasal tube in. So the friendships that are made for life if you want them, you know. And I think that was a real byproduct. and a phrase we use, which is lovely, is if we're nothing else, we're a vehicle for bringing these people together. And you see them, they go away and they make little WhatsApp groups, and the kids mix outside of the foundation now, which is lovely to see. You know,
I can well imagine. You mentioned a couple of sort of events and a couple of experiences you guys have done there, but in terms of obviously raising money for all this, you obviously run fundraisers regular. In terms of ones that are coming up, what have you got on the calendar?
Yeah, fundraising for the year is finished now. We really sort of push it sort of from early spring right through to about now. 3 major events we do each year, and the same 3 are on next year. The skydive, which I don't know how people jump out of an aeroplane. We discussed this earlier. I need 2 diazepam to get on a plane. Don't know what you need to jump out of it. So that's on next year. London Landmarks Half Marathon, which is quite unique. It's not just running around, aimless sites. It's a half marathon taking in all the major sites. We did that for the first time last year. Sold all the places. We've sold a number of them this year. I think there's 8 left on that one. The skydive, we've only just finished the last one a couple of months ago, and 2/3 of the places for next year have gone. But there are still places available. If that's on someone's bucket list, then good on them. But it's, Mark and I are at the bottom giving the certificates out.
And terra firma at the bottom.
And equally, another one that we have on for next year is the National 3 Peaks. Again, I couldn't think of anything worse than trying to climb 3 mountains in 24 hours, plus the travel in between. All those events are available still on the website. So they're our main 3 again for next year, the same as this year. But it's the unsolicited fundraising, and there's no prerequisite for parents to go away who've had benefits from the foundation to go away and raise money. Not at all. It's not even on our agenda. But the support from parents is incredible. They use the word payback, which I don't like. It's not payback at all. It's just, that they're their words. But we say, we speak every single day of the year, Mark and I, probably apart from Christmas Day. And every week there's something that somebody has just put a golf day together, or, big events, or simple things like they've just took it on themselves to enter the Aintree Half Marathon recently around Aintree Racecourse. One of our dads did. I'm just not surprised anymore. And this city, Dan, just keeps giving.
We've seen, we've been fortunate is one word, but the times of requested that the city comes together on more than one occasion. I think it's fair to say we saw it at Zoe's Place for the most recent big, from a charity point of view, last year, and the response to that and the call to arms is absolutely remarkable. So everything you've said here doesn't surprise me.
No, and that's a phrase that I use all the time. Dan, the generosity of the people in this city, I'm not surprised anymore. We very often, Mark and I, sit and say, where did that come from? Who thought of that? And they just go away and do it, and they just keep producing. And if you look at the socials, Dan, when they've done the event or whatever, they all say the same thing. This is for the kid. Mine has had all the benefits. This is for the kids who are still, that we don't know yet. And I think there's nothing that warms the cockles of your heart, doesn't it? And it would be. It's very easy to get choked up. But I'm not surprised. No. Really not surprised.
I can well imagine. And you mentioned the website there. If anyone wants to find out more information about the fundraisers and the events and Owen McVeigh Foundation, full stop, that would be the best place to go.
It's simply owenmcveighfoundation.co.uk. So all the events are listed on there. They can sign up from there. Even if they want to contact the foundation, we make it easy as possible to contact us. Then, there's just a simple info on there. Click on the info, bring you straight through to the foundation. Mark and I receive the emails simultaneously. You need to make it easy for people to understand, to make contact, don't you? So all the information's out there.
Perfect, top man. We'll put the link in that in the description. And as I said, we are supporting the charity all August. Great. We'll be sharing it on socials as the month goes on. But Eddie, top man, thanks so much for joining me.
No, thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Everybody else, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care. I'll see you soon.